So we're back full force, aren't we? Back into the school routine. Now, for some of you, this might be a couple of weeks. For us, it's one day, but my goodness, don't we know about it? So today I'm going to talk very practical back to school hacks, routines that work and that help you as a parent or a carer around the house, also help our kids and teens feel safe. So whether it's finding a sock in year 3, catching the bus in year 10, routines make life smoother for all of us. Today, we're going to dive into that very practical side of back to school. Those little systems that can save you a lot of stress and a lot of time. So don't worry, I'm not talking about military position or rigid timetables. This is about rhythm and flow. Small changes that might make mornings calmer and evenings less fraught. So I don't know about you, but I'm all for that. So why do routines matter? And I'm going to tell you why, but I'm also going to tell you, compare and contrast to summer. If you are the kind of person that keeps in a little bit of routine, you'll find that the kids respond really well. If you've done, wow, it's been a big run up to the 6 week holidays, and then we've just gone free for all, you find that after a little while, the kids can't manage and their behaviour goes through the roof. Uh, they're having meltdowns left, right, and centre. And that's just us as parents. So, yeah, why do routines matter? Well, kids of all ages thrive on predictability because it makes their brain feel safe. Now, I'm saying kids of all ages, but that's true of us as adults. If you go into work and suddenly they've moved your desk or you've got a new boss and nobody's told you about it, you will start to feel that panic. You'll start to feel unsafe. And it is just the brain's way, our amygdala in our brain, to keep us safe. So the more that we can predict, the safer that we feel. Routines reduce anxiety. They help transitions and they free up that mental energy and that mental capacity for us all. And I'm talking to, the primary caregivers out there. I'm talking to those who take the lead on getting our kids ready. It helps us too. So these don't need to be perfect, by the way. When I started the podcast this morning, I said aim for rhythm. Aim for rhythm over rigid rules. That rhythm and flow, that's what it's all about. So the first thing, what do we need to do? But we need to put in the foundations, okay? So sleep reset, okay? Without it, everything is harder for us and for them. For younger kids, shift the bedtime gradually. Now, if it is that this is like your first week in, don't be tempted to let them have a really late night at the weekend as a reward, because that's what we do. We do it for ourselves. Keep it as close, maybe give them an extra half an hour at the weekend, an hour, but that's it. Try and keep the routine as close to as school night for the first few weeks as possible. Build in that, the usual calming routine, bath stories, lights down, things like that. And for teens, remember their body naturally shift till later. They're not being lazy. This is biology. They've got a lot of brain reconstruction to do at this point, and their melatonin is what it is for us as adults. And that melatonin is that substance in our brain that helps us sleep. So help them wind down. Lower lights. We often do movie night, but with the lights off, so that by the time the movie's finished, they're ready to go to bed. No phones in the room. They won't thank me for this, but let me tell you that blue light really does stimulate the brain. They're less likely to relax and go to sleep. So do something relaxing before bed. I know my 18-year-old, her and her mates have just got back into reading over the summer, which has been fantastic. That a little bit of reading before they go to sleep is absolutely perfect. But for the whole family, consistent sleep makes mornings less of a battle, for sure. So on to the mornings. Now, mornings can be the most stressful part of the day, right? Because we're brain constrained, aren't we? But a few tweaks can help transform them. So primary kids, give them a visual chart. You can find them on the internet. We've probably got one in the village. If you come over to the village, we've probably got one there. So that they know the order of tasks, that now and next. This is really good if you've got any children who display neurodivergent traits, but it's great for all young kids. They take a bit of responsibility, they know what's coming next, and it's really, really cool. So for younger kids, absolutely do that. Lay out the clothes, pack the bags the night before, get them to do it. Doesn't matter how old they are, they can, okay, I've got your bag, you go and get your book bag, you go and get your reading book, go and get your PE kit, and then make it a bit of a game. Get them used to being very young, getting their bags packed the night before, put by the door with the shoes ready to go. Lay out the clothes so they know in the morning exactly what they're going to put on. And then I'm going to say something really controversial now. I always advise that they get ready, have a wash, shower, whatever it is. And this is for teens as well. Wash, shower, brush your teeth, get dressed before you come downstairs. So no screens, no TV before breakfast. And the reason is there is no, when they come down and they're having breakfast, and if they're doing that in front of the TV or they've got a screen in front of them, and then you say, go upstairs and get ready, what's in it for them? Absolutely nothing. It's much better for me to stay here than it is and watch. There's no motivation, absolutely none, to go up and get dressed. However, if we get them to do all that upstairs, the motivation, what's in it for them, is that breakfast. They will be hungry at this point. So definitely, we don't have any screens apart from, mine are older teens now, so they might check, who they're meeting, whatever, but actually not at the breakfast table. We don't put the TV on, the radio's on. We make a habit of listening to the same radio station so we can listen to the quiz. We listen to different interviews on there, and we've always done that. The minute that you start putting a TV on in the morning or giving them a screen, you're going to lose them. There is nothing in it for them. So, yes, it's controversial. Yes, you probably don't want to hear that, but they get used to it very quickly, right? With teens, oh, by the way, just so you know, there is research to say brushing your teeth before breakfast is much better for you than brushing after breakfast. The Dentist Association came out with some research last year, which I was really thankful for because I've been saying that for years. But just so you know, they don't need to brush their teeth after breakfast. They can do it before, and that is actually good for their oral hygiene. Teens, hand over responsibility. Let them set their own alarm in the morning. Encourage them to prep their own bag and snack/lunch if they're taking lunch with them. We had something quite surprising. So my 15-year-old was going to help his uncle do some work over the summer holidays. He just did about 5 days, but he absolutely loved it. He had to leave 6 a.m. We used to say the night before, get your lunch ready. And he did. He got himself up. Now, obviously, we got up with him just to check he was okay and they'd had breakfast and all that. But, he did it all by himself. And nobody was more surprised than us. Nobody. But isn't it amazing? What's in it for him? Well, the money he was getting. So isn't it funny when the motivation is there, they can absolutely do it. And this builds independence. You're future proofing them. And once we get this, it saves the nagging. Come on, get up, get up, get up. Have you got this? Have you got that? And if they haven't got the snack, they'll remember tomorrow. So just go, because I think this is just as important for me. It's when often that after school decompression is when the wheels can come off. Kids and teens have held it together all day, particularly if yours are neurodivergent. And home is that safe place to let it out. Okay. Younger kids, all kids, to be honest, make sure they've got a snack. All right. But younger kids, make sure they've got their snack and that they have some downtime before homework. So whether it's them playing in their room, playing in the garden, seeing a friend, just that real chill before homework. And then, because for me, they need to burn off that excess energy. They need that little reset and decompression before they have to concentrate again, if they're at an age where they're getting homework. And that might look different for different kids. Some kids just need a bit of time to themselves, and some kids need you, to kind of walk through the day and process. But kind of, you'll know your kids best. You know me, I always say, you are the expert with your kids. So see what works, try different things and see what works, giving them that time. Again, controversially, I would say no screens until after homework. So does that mean that they can't watch TV? No. If they decompress watching something on the TV, that is not flicking through YouTube on the iPad, because it's very different in the brain, and you messing with their concentration because of the way that iPads, blue screens and stuff work, and the constant scrolling or flicking just lowers our concentration levels. So for me, I would say if they want to come in and watch something, maybe they're watching a little series or they're watching, CBBC or something like that, get them, give them half an hour to do that. Then anything else that we need to get them to do. So it might be homework, it might be getting changed. Don't be really quick to go, actually, go up and get changed, blah, blah, blah. If that's how you do it in your house, then great. Just before we start giving them all these things they need to do, let's just give them a little time to reset. So if they were watching TV, then I would say, okay, go and get changed now. And then if you've got homework to do, and then I would say homework now, after that. So when you've done your homework, then, and I use that sentence specifically, when and then, when you've done your homework, then you can have your screen time, whatever that looks like in your house. Teens, please respect their time, their need for downtime. This might be, they might have after school stuff, so they might do physical activity, sports, gym, a walk. I often say, take the dog for a walk, because that just gives them that little bit of time. They'll listen to the music, they'll get out in the fresh air. Others might just need a bit of quiet space on their own. And this is not the time when they get in is, how was your day? Choose your moment. Usually I think once they've eaten or over dinner, when you sat around and you can have those conversations, I always go, any chat from today? And that might be they come back and go, oh, such and such happened, or, this teacher said this. And I get much more out of them then for two reasons. One, because they've eaten, so they've kind of grounded themselves. They've had that bit of time to themselves. And then, give it to them and say, okay, when is best for you to do your homework? When is it best for you to do your homework? So again, screen times afterwards. If they want to go, so in my house, there is no consoles Monday to Thursday. Monday to Thursday night. Is it Thursday night? Yeah. So Thursday night, my youngest can go on the console when he's at school, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he absolutely doesn't. And to be fair, it's a bit of a trick because Thursday he has a after school class, so he can't go on it anyway. Doesn't get home till late. But if he hasn't, and he is allowed, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I've got no issue as long as stuff is done. So as long as homework is done, I don't know about you, but there's like Seneca or what's the other one that they're doing on math? Sparks. Ooh, I hate Sparks. So there's things like that. And also sorry, I lost my train of thought then. Also, any jobs that you need doing around the house, so whether it's bring your washing down, tidy your room, things like that. Because if not, what is in it? What's in it for, what's actually in it for them, realistic? Um, what's in it for them, realistically? And then what about us? What about us? How are we gonna manage this to school routine? So here's the piece that we often forget is parent mindset. We don't need perfect mornings or perfect evenings or even perfect kids. What we need is connection, not correction. So try letting go of that chasing perfection. I had a conversation with a mom, experienced mom, who couldn't understand her 15-year-old when she says, like, go up and get your uniform or go and sort your bag out or whatever, that he wasn't just doing it by now, because it's something that she's told him every day for, how long? 5 years? And he still wasn't getting it. And I said, okay, so why do you think that is? So sometimes it can be neurodiversity, where they need that breaking it down step by step, or they need that body doubling. I think what we forget often with our teens is their brains is still developing. What's in it for them is not is paramount. That's their priority. What's in it for them? Going up and getting their stuff ready for school is relieving our stress. It's not relieving theirs, because their stress doesn't come until they actually need it. So us trying to get them organised uh, doesn't, uh, only relieves our stress, not theirs. It's only when it comes to the crunch, when we've got that pain point of where's my kit, because I'm leaving, that is when that's when they realise that actually it's easier. So, you know, just because they're older, just because they're taller than us, doesn't mean to say they've got it. All right. It does take a little while, particularly with boys. And that is because their brain, doesn't develop till later either. So girls might catch on and take the responsibility earlier. But that's because their brains develop quicker. So don't chase that perfection. What I would say to you is, try not to shout up the stairs and say, have you got this done? Try and be with them. Even if you're in their room chit-chatting with them while they get their stuff ready, it's something that will really help them and scaffold them as well. That scaffolding learning step by step. One thing I would say is ask yourself, and also don't be afraid of asking your kids this. What's one small thing I can shift that will help us all breathe easier now we're back at school? What's one small thing? And, that could be getting stuff ready the night before. That could be the arguments over screen time. Well, actually, there's no screen time until after everything's done. That could be that your teens make dinner one night a week. That might make it easier for you while you crack on with some work. And then, remember though, often if you're the one that's not made dinner, you're the one that's cleaning up. It could be something along the lines of, actually, do we need to get all the ironing done on a Sunday and not do it, in a morning? Kids remember how we made them feel far more than whether their socks matched. So don't get hooked up on that at all. So that's it for getting into routine and the importance of routine. This week, kind of takeaway simple. Choose one small tweak that fits your child's stage, whatever their age. Maybe it's moving that bedtime a little bit earlier, putting phones out of bedrooms, laying the clothes out the night before. Start with one thing and notice the difference. Small little systems like this save massive stress. So whether they're 6 or 16, absolutely. What I would say to you is go easy on yourself as well. Absolutely go easy on yourself. So what have we got? What updates have we got? So this week we have trained nearly 80 teachers on the Resilient Kid CPD staff training that we've done. We've absolutely loved it. It's been brilliant. Three of us have been involved in that this week, which has just been amazing. We have had 100% recommend, like 100% of the attendees would recommend us. How cool is that? I am stoked. And I think our score out of 10 was something like 9.7, 9.8, which I will take. There was no yeah, it was just brilliant, like out of all of them. And they just loved it. The feedback we got, the laughs we had, and just the learning and, and listening to the struggles that teachers have in school and being able to help them and support them, look after our kids. That's what they're doing after all. Look after our kids. So that was the first thing. Yep. So our school CPD. And we've always offered that, but now we have the coaches. We're kind of shouting about it a bit more. I've always done that kind of thing. I do corporate training as well, but we don't really shout about it. So we're starting to do that more. So that's cool. So if you have a school that you think will benefit from some of the stuff that you hear me talk on the podcast, then drop us a line. I'm sure we'll always do you a deal. We've had one PTA pay as well, which is so cool. And then the other thing, so on Saturday, the 6th of September, so if you're listening to this afterwards, you're too late. But we have the Brianna Gray Legacy Project putting on the Peace Festival over at the Engine Rooms in Warrington. And we're going, so me and all the coaches are going, which is so cool. But we're launching our new merch there. So we've got weighted blankets, we've got sassy slogans on mugs, we have got some amazing hoodies that are like dopamine hits. They're just beautiful. Yeah, we can't wait. But if you come in, I think it's £10 for an adult. All kids under 16 are free. There's loads and loads to do there. It'll be a nice day out. But also, come and just chat to us. Tell us what you're struggling with and we'll help you. That's what we're there for. We'll help you. Of course we will. So, yeah. And so look out for our shop. Our merch will be coming in the next couple of weeks. All right. Listen, I hope the transition back to school is smooth for you. Please remember, this is about rhythm and flow, it's not about rigid rules. So take care, everyone, and I will see you next week for the third installment of the back to school mini series, which is pretty cool. If you didn't hear the first one, go back and listen to that. Next week, it's all about friendships, confidence, and belonging. Because friendships or social life is the heartbeat of the school. And I think having spoken to all those teachers this week, absolutely is of the teachers too. Take care, everyone. Lots of love. Bye for now.